Then he had one client that would bet anywhere from $5 to $7 million a weekend. I think we're going to have to kill the prosecutor. So I'm like, okay. He was fighting his case. He had 7 murders, homicide.
Like, what are you doing? Like, and you kind of explained it like I've got a regular business. It's legit. We're also doing, you said we have a number or a numbers racket?
Sports
bet.
Right.
We've got sports betting. I'm assuming none of that's legal, the sports betting and stuff. Okay.
No.
So you're doing you're doing other stuff to generate money. Like, how long does that last? And how old are you at this point? You got to be in your 30s.
Yeah, no, I'm in my 30s.
Okay.
I'm with Vinny. No, we had a massive operation. What happened with the sports betting book? Actually, there was a kid around Vinny. His name was Lenny. We called him Casper. I know his last name wasn't Casper. I think he wound up testifying against Vinny, Basciano. But this kid, you look at him, college, preppy kid. When he was in college, he started a sports book. Throughout the years, it grew and grew and grew. He had maybe about 125 clients. Then he had one client that would bet anywhere from $5 to $7 million a weekend on football.
Wow.
Now, he's not winning 7, he's not winning 5 million, but I think the most he ever won was maybe 700,000 one weekend. The most he lost was maybe $2.5 million. Always paid.
This is a kid. This kid wasn't in college anymore.
No, the kid wasn't in college.
Okay.
But
say, this is huge.
The kid came to us. He was around Vinny, and we became partners with him. So we teamed up with 2 more guys in the Bonanno crime family. Jerry Asaro, whose father was Vinny Asaro. They had him with the Lufthansa heist. Jerry Asaro was a captain, and his acting captain was a guy, Jack Bonventre, who had a towing company, auto body repair shop. So we partner up with them, and they had the offices in Costa Rica. So we would take that action every weekend, and Vinny was a degenerate gambler. He's betting on the football games. I'm like, oh, geez, like, why? And I don't bet. Once in a while I might bet, but most part I don't bet. And I would be like, oh, my God. No, Dom, we're going to do good. We're going to do good. We were supposed to be collecting $500,000. Where some weeks we're like losing $100,000 because of all his bets he's betting. So that was a nightmare in itself. But we made a lot of money with that as well. Sports, the bookies always make at the end of the day. Where was I? Oh, so with this guy, Lenny. You see now they have the QR codes?
Yeah.
He brought that to me back in the early 90s with the phone, with a group of guys. Look at this. And they developed where they could scan the regular grocery barcodes, but the product would pop up on the phone.
Okay.
And I looked at it. Nah, I didn't believe in that. Like, I didn't have the vision for that. I'm like, these son of a guns, they got away with it. And who knows? I don't know where they ever took it, if they took it anywhere. But we had also, it was called sexychat.com.
Okay.
They were girls. We had the office on York Street. It was in a building, whole floor, and they had cubicles. Each girl would be in a cubicle, like an apartment, a bedroom, and they would get their things off, and they would have their clients come on and watch. That was another thing we had an interest in. But
cam girls.
Yeah.
Cam, right? That's what they call cam girls.
But once I cooperated, all that went out,
Right.
But you look now, sexychat.com, it's loaded, like, wow. And these were things we were involved in. But I primarily made my money. I had a real estate office. We would do mortgages, titles, insurance. So I made money there. I had a bar lounge, made money there. I had an auto repair shop which about 40 cars my shop could hold, where we'd fix the cars, tow them. Construction companies. So I was doing well.
Are all these, like, to me, I think of auto bodies, and I think there's like a huge opportunity for graft, for a huge opportunity to get stolen cars, use the parts. Like there's a huge opportunity to take stolen cars and parts of stolen cars and use them and refurbish.
Yeah, the chop shop.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't do that. I stayed away from that. We would get aftermarket parts, which, say for a Mercedes, a hood might cost you $4,000 or $5,000. Aftermarket's $1,800.
Right.
So, we would do things like that instead of putting, the legitimate part.
The Mercedes one.
Yeah, we get the aftermarket and nobody could tell the difference really. But very lucrative business. We had chaser trucks. So what that is in the Bronx, if there's an accident, my tow truck drivers would have scanners. So they hear right away, as soon as an accident, they have to report to the police and the paramedics to come. So we would have the scanners. So they would hear there's an accident 5 miles away. They would race to the accident, and who's ever there first gets the hookup.
Right.
So that's I had 4. We called them chaser trucks. I had 4 of them on the road, and then you get independent guys. So for my guys, they would get maybe 20% of the accident. So whatever the bill is. With independent guys, you'd give them sometimes 35 to 40%, whatever they bring into you. So now, if they had an accident that was $20,000 in damage, it adds up real quick.
Right. The
profitability is through the roof with accidents.
So how much money are you bringing in? Like what kind of?
In 4 years and I was home 5 years that time. The first year I was in Jersey. I was trapped in that marriage. But the 4 years I was in New York, I amassed net wealth anywhere from $8 to $10 million I made. And 90% of it was through legitimate business. When I went away to jail for the crime families, my boss, Joe Massino, he was dubbed the last Don. He was one of the old school bosses, John Gotti era, Vincent the Chin Gigante era. He wound up wearing a wire on the acting boss, Vinny Gorgeous, who was my mentor. And they were talking about me killing people, and they locked me up. When I got locked up, the crime family took everything, sold the bar lounge, the body shop, ran to the ground. There was $1.5 million debt in the red. It's just, they basically me.
Well, so what happened? How does that start? That investigation? They just had him wired and he just, what was the investigation into him that caused him to cooperate and get wired up?
Well, Joe Massino had a trial. He was fighting his case. He had 7 murders, homicides. Everybody in the Bonanno crime family, we did not have a cooperator until the early 2000s. Never in history. Before that, there was never a made member, a guy who was straightened out, who was in the Mafia, cooperated, ratted. We didn't have one. We were the only crime family. In 2000, I think it was 2002, 2003, our first one. And it brought down the boss, Joe Massino. His brother-in-law ratted on him. He was the underboss. There was all captains, maybe 6, 7 captains. They all told. We had maybe about a dozen all at once. So Joe Massino was locked up, facing 7 homicides. And he was going to trial. But Joe Massino did, which was disgusting, played everybody, government included. Joe Massino sends word out to Vinny Gorgeous, who is the acting boss for the crime family. Hey, now Joe Massino's prosecutor was Greg Andres. Sends word out, hey, this Greg is being very disrespectful to me. He eats at this restaurant every Thursday night. I can't take it anymore. So Vinny comes up to me, Dom, I just got word. I think we're going to have to kill the prosecutor. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Our boss is sending word out. Okay. So I told Vinny, I said, do you want me to do it? He says, no, you and I will do it. We'll go in the restaurant. We'll leave him there. And who's going to be part of it? He said, Bruno, who's Anthony Delicato, another guy, Ace, Anthony Donato. We're setting up the hit team. But let me confirm it. I'm going to send word in through a different way because messages are coming in and out through lawyers, investigators.
So because he didn't get bond. He's
No,
incarcerated.
Joe Massino's in jail.
Okay.
He's getting ready to
Is
fight
this
his
federal?
case. Federal, yes.
Okay.
He's in MD, I think MDC. Yeah, MDC Brooklyn, New York, the holding facility.
A federal prosecutor.
Yeah, you know.
That is super serious.
So Vinny sends word in through a different way, not through the way he got the message, through another way. So what Vinny said, hey, ask Joe the message he sent out. Does he want me to move on it? Joe never responds. So after 2 weeks goes by, Vinny said, I said, what's going on? He says, I don't know. He didn't respond. He's probably thinking about it. So, but if he, be ready. If he sends the message, we're going to have to move quick and take him out. Okay. Now we'll fast forward. Joe never responded to that. Joe goes to trial and blows trial. The day he lost trial, when the jury came back and said guilty on all murders, he's facing life in prison, without a doubt. He told the lawyer, tell the judge and the prosecutor I want to speak to them. As he's being walked out of the courtroom, they accommodate him. Greg Andres is sitting back there. Joe says, I want to cooperate. Greg looks at him, tells him, who are you going to tell on? We already have everybody. All the years of crimes, your brother-in-law was the underboss, told us everything. You and him were like together for 40 years.
Right.
Like, you can't tell him. Well, what if I tell you there's a hit on the prosecutor? They have him take 2 lie detector tests. He failed them both. I know this because I was fighting the case. So what Joe did, now the prosecutors, they can't take a chance. When you look at it, like, okay, maybe he was nervous, or I'm not going to risk my life.
Right.
God forbid. So what they do is they indict Vinny Basciano. They get him locked up. Now, I don't know if Joe's cooperating. They accepted Joe as cooperating. So now they arrest Vinny on a murder. I'm still on the street. When Vinny gets arrested, they have Vinny and Joe on the same indictment, but Joe's not known as CI number 1. It's Vinny and Joe Massino. They have co-defendant meetings together, but he's cooperating. Vinny doesn't know this. Now for some reason, they put Joe Massino, or Joe Massino's in segregation. They put Vinny in segregation. So now they're both in the shoe. They have a separation order on them. They wired, now prior to that, they had a court hearing. When they were in the bullpen, here's the way I know it went down, because I know all the players. They're in the bullpen, and Joe said to Vinny, hey, are you out of your mind with that prosecutor? You were going to take out the prosecutor? And Vinny, I know, responded, Bo, of course, wasn't that what you sent me, the word? No. Then this is Joe, them talking. Joe's not wired up or anything.
Right.
This is prior. So Joe said, are you out of your mind? Like, to take out a federal prosecutor? That's what I thought, Bo. Okay, let's it go. Now they're in Now, that was during their transport going to court hearing. Now, maybe a week goes by. They're both in segregation. Joe tells them what happened. They wire Joe Massino up. He's wearing a wire now. They both go out to the rec deck. It's on the rooftop deck. They're in... Okay, even though you have a separate T order, they could bring you out there, but you're in separate cages.
Right.
So the cages are separated, but you have access like this. We're together. So Joe turns around. Now he knows he has Vinny. Vinny, I was thinking, that thing you told me with the prosecutor, were you really like, I can't believe you were going to do that. Bo, let's not talk about it. Okay, yeah, you're right. He just baited Vinny.
Right.
Now what happened was a guy, Randy Pizzolo, got killed. He was around us, the Bonanno crime family. So Joe says, Vinny, who took this kid out? Now, Vinny's locked up, but Vinny left orders with me, kill him. So while he's locked up, I'm loyal. I kill him. So Vinny says Dominic did it. Then he goes into, hey, that thing with Quiet Dom, the boss of the Genovese crime family, they accused, all the newspapers said I killed him. Did we have anything to do with it? Then he says, no, we had nothing to do with it. So with that, now Joe's got his information. He's on tape. Now the government, they're worried with the prosecutor because now Joe baited him perfectly, made it seem like it was Vinny's idea and everything.
Right.
Now they're looking for me because now they know I took out this guy, Randy. Oh, shoot. Now he's going to kill the prosecutor. They came in like gangbusters finally when they caught up with me. It might have been a few weeks because I was all over the place. I wasn't staying home. They arrest me. They lock me up under the SAMS Act. You know what the SAMS Act is?
No.
Terrorists.
Okay.
No communication, no phone, no visits, nothing. All I could do is write letters, and it goes through the federal prosecutors. Finally, after 4 months, they lift the SAMS order off of me because they're worried about the prosecutor. Now I'm fighting the case throughout that year. Vinny turns around and tells me, in the interim, I'm a captain in the crime family. Michael Mancuso, who now is the official boss of the crime family at that time, he's the acting boss. He takes all my guys and breaks up my entire crew. I'm like, Vinny, why would he do that? I'm not found guilty yet. That's my support level out there. That's why I have an acting captain. And that's my income. Bo, I don't know. He's just playing games with me. At the end of the day, he tells me, now the government had nothing on me. They had no wiretaps, no tapes.
Other than a conversation.
A jailhouse conversation.
About you.
And Vinny, when this kid Randy got killed, that I'm charged with that murder, Vinny's locked up in jail. I'm at a basketball game. I'm on TV that night. And then what I did, the way I orchestrated that hit, I told Randy, do me a favor, tell your wife it's going to be a late night, so I'll meet you in the city after the basketball game, and we'll hang out. We're going out. So he's like, all right, just make sure your wife knows that. So my thing was with the government, okay, you say, because I know what they're going to say, I had an airtight alibi, I'm at the game, and I had him hit. Then why would I tell him to not call Randy's wife to the stand? Who was he supposed to meet? Dominic. Here the government's saying I had an alibi. Why would I throw myself back in the mix? I had no clue what happened to him. And that would have been that's the way I orchestrated it.
Right.
In that street life, you have to be like 10, 20 steps ahead. So my lawyer, Jeffrey Littman, one of the top defense lawyers up there, criminal lawyers, turned around and said, Vinny, they have nothing on Dominic. He's not taking the witness stand on your behalf. Oh, yes, he is. No, he's not. He's going to beat the case. Vinny had me fire Jeffrey Littman. So I fired him. And he has me, you're going to take the witness stand because you'll come off as credible and we could beat the case. Here's two things. If we win, nobody will ever sit down with me again because they'll consider me a rat because we're not supposed to admit Cosa Nostra. Mm-hmm. And here I'm talking about I'm a captain. Michael's the acting boss. It's not illegal. It's not a crime to be a captain or a boss.
Right.
There's as long as there's no illegal activities, now I could show all my legal businesses. I pay my taxes, this, that, and the other thing. Nobody will sit with me. They'll consider me a rat. Now, if we blow case, the trial, everybody in the prison system is going to look at me. He's a rat. Mm-hmm. He's a rat. He broke our oath.
There's no upside for you.
There's no upside. So finally I said, you know what?
Other than helping out Vinny.
I'm done.
Right.
I'm done with all the money they robbed from me, leaving me broke. I'm done. I'm out of life. We broke the straw to the camel's back. The Christmas before I got locked up from my guys, I collected, I think it was $370,000 for Christmas. The Christmas I'm locked up, Michael sends me $3,500. I'm like, you know what? I see the handwriting on the wall. I'm out. Told the lawyer, do me a favor, call the prosecutor. Tell him I'm coming in. Well, when I came in, first thing, Greg Andre said, I don't care what they say, told the other prosecutors, I'm asking him. You were going to kill me? Yes. Yes. Why did Vinny want me dead? Wasn't Vinny, it was Joe Massino. He looked. What would you say? I said, Joe Massino sent word, sent an innuendo. Wasn't Vinny. Vinny didn't want you dead. It was Joe. Joe initiated that. This man turned beet red. And he knew Joe played everybody. What could he do at this point?
Right.
Joe Massino failed the 2 lie detector tests. Now I come in. Joe Massino probably had no clue that Vinny told me about this. And especially now I'm cooperating. No, Joe Massino lied about that. No, he orchestrated it. So, I mean, Greg was just livid. But Joe Massino played it right. And, the last Don became the biggest rat in history.